Hi, everybody. It's Manny Martinez again, Relentless Leadership LLC president. And I have once again the honor to be with, from Australia, Gift 631 founder Andy Fell. Andy, what's going on?
All's good here, Manny. Trust you are amazingly well as well.
Fabulous, fabulous. It's a wonderful time here in sunny Washington State. Been great weather, lots of seasons of bloom and trees and green, and that means a lot of home improvement projects. We've been having fun with those. Have you been busy around the house, Andy?
Well, I believe this current phase has certainly given everyone the opportunity to declutter, and decluttering has been one of my key projects throughout this recent period. And that's everything, Manny. It's decluttering my mind, it's decluttering my inbox, it's decluttering my folders, it's decluttering the garage, the study. So yeah, decluttering. So as we move forward into the next phase, there's much cleaner and clearer space, both virtually, mentally, and also physically. So that's really been some of the projects that I've been kicking on with during this time.
Very good, very good. Yeah, I mowed the lawn yesterday like I was going for a world record, speed record, and getting it done because the clouds were coming in. It was going to be a quick rain, and I pushed through and I got it done. Today I just got up in the morning, I glanced at it. Oh yes, beautiful, yeah. Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah,
anyway.
Totally. Yeah, tick.
Exactly. Well, anyhow, yes, I'm sure our audience does not want to listen to me mowing the lawn. Instead, they probably are a lot more interested to have a conversation about what leaders do as far as what makes great leaders. What are those characteristics, those great leadership traits? So, Andy, I want to ask that question to you. What are some of those great leadership characteristics?
Yeah, and Manny, very early in my leadership career, I went on a training course and I heard this quote. And the quote went like this, that US and Japanese management is 95% alike, and yet it differs in all important aspects. And that was a quote from a guy called Fujisawa, who was at Honda at the time. And at first, when I heard that quote, I was like, what is he actually talking about? How can it be 95% alike and yet be so different in all important aspects? But it's only when I began to mature as a leader, I could see where he was really coming from, that so many, they're not really leaders, they're more managers. And I believe leadership is about influence and management's about control. But so many managers, it's almost like a tick box exercise, even when they're doing some of the interpersonal things like a monthly one-to-one. And there is a small percentage of things that really do make a significant difference. And this was really brought to life for me by studying two leaders. One was Sir Richard Branson, and one was when I first moved to Australia from the UK. Our CEO at the time, the Westpac Bank, was an amazing lady called Gail Kelly. And what I realized, what both of these amazing leaders were able to do was operate at two levels and move very, very quickly and easily between those two levels. So at 1 minute, they are thinking about vision, they're thinking about strategy, they're thinking about innovation and creation. And then the next level, they're very, very present in the moment with whoever they're talking to. And Branson used to say there was only two things that he was good at. One was exactly that, vision and creation and strategy. And then secondly was being the biggest cheerleader for his portfolio of businesses. And he let other people do everything in the middle because he just wasn't very good at that. And then I saw that in action with Gail Kelly, although I'd like to think she was pretty good at everything, leadership and management. And I'll give you an example that when I first moved to Australia, I was asked to chair what they call the People Leaders Forum. And this was where all of the leaders in the Westpac group from the state of Queensland came together. And I was, as I say, hosting and emceeing this event. And I'd never met Gail before. The Westpac group, 40,000 people, so a big organization, Australia's first company, Australia's first bank. And just before we went on stage, Gail came up to me and introduced herself and said to me, Andy, how are you finding Australia? Her second question was, how's your wife, Leona? How's she settling to Australia? How are your three girls? How are they finding Australia? I hear you love cricket. I really hope you get to see some of the cricket when England come over. And I was completely and utterly blown away. Now, those with a cynical mindset, Manny, say, well, she just asked her chief of staff, who is this guy? Tell me a few things about him. But really, I don't care. The fact is, that's great leadership, that she was so interested to find out, not just find out about me and the job that I was doing, but the really important things about moving from one side of the world to the other, about my wife, about my children, about my interests. And then she remembered it, and she was 100% present. And then she left me and she went on stage a few minutes later, and she delivered this amazing 45-minute speech without any notes to these 500 leaders. And that to me is a mark of an amazing leader who can 1 minute be at this level thinking about, okay, I'm going to present in front of this huge audience, and this is the only 45 minutes this audience gets with the CEO. They get that twice a year. And then she can go from that to really deeply interested in one human being at a time. And if I fast forward 9 months, that was in the March to the Christmas, I then get a handwritten Christmas card from Gail, which was very much around, how's your first year in Australia been? How's Leona now? Wow. How are the children? Have you seen any of the cricket? Now, did she write to every person in the 40,000? No. Have I probably told 40,000 people that story? Absolutely, yes. And the other one, just going back to Richard Branson, which absolutely blew my mind. In the UK, the Virgin Group used to own trains. And I was going with some clients to Doncaster Racecourse for the day on a Virgin train. And the train was absolutely packed. So we were crammed, and these were the days when in the UK they still had conductors on trains. We were crammed between two carriages. And I spoke to this conductor and said to her, so have you ever met Richard Branson? Thinking she'd say, absolutely not. And she goes, well, yes, I have actually. I said, oh, really? When? She said, well, what Sir Richard Branson decided to do was host a party for all UK-based Virgin employees. Now, obviously, because of the planes and the trains, we're each rostered. So we're each rostered for a day off. So the party went over 4 days. And Sir Richard Branson stood at the front welcoming people for about 3 to 4 hours on each of the 4 days. And I went, wow, that is leaders. So if I sum all that up, what do I believe is in that 5% that Fujisawa was talking about? It is about clarity of vision and strategy. It's about being authentic and being present. Yes. It's about leading for culture. I think it's about great leaders create the right culture, the right tone, the right environment, and then they inspire and motivate people to bring their best self to work on a daily basis. So that would be my perspectives, Manny, in terms of what great leaders actually do. Yeah. So again, how about yourself from either your military experience or obviously your work now with Relentless Leadership?
Yeah, I love that. I love that, Andy. You know, leadership is about influence and how we influence people and teams, you know, to reach a common objective or to reach a common goal, a set of goals that we have, whether it's personal goals and team goals, organizational goals. I love what you shared about that and the ability for those leaders to connect, because when we connect with them, then we can influence them. Certainly many of those things are things that I witnessed by the best military leaders. I had a leader in my first base. He was called the senior enlisted advisor. He was the top enlisted person on the whole base. There's 5,000 people on this base. I would see him maybe twice a year. He would walk around my building because, you know, they get to get out there and get to meet people. He saw me maybe twice a year. He remembered my first name. Hi, Manny, how are you? I would think, how does he remember my name? This is Chief Reed. This guy knows 5,000 people. He would remember my name. Hi, how are you, Manny? And just kind of catch you off guard and just stayed with me. His ability to just inspire people by having that connection. And I think it also showed something about him and something that I saw in many military leaders, because in the military, it's very easy for us to go, well, you know, I've got more position power than you, so you're going to do as I say. That only goes so far. just like punishments go so far and rewards only go so far. But when we have the leadership authenticity, we walk into our jobs or our positions or the people that we lead by being ourselves and bringing our best qualities and values forward. We can connect with people in a much more personal way, whether it's being able to ask about their families or their lives like you've experienced. For me, many of the military leaders that I saw were absolutely amazing, influential leaders, were ones that were able to tell very good stories that connected with what people were dealing with at a particular time. Particularly when in the military, your ultimate objective might be going to war and sacrificing, and watching out for the person on your left and on your right. It was very important for them to tell their stories, tell moments when perhaps they struggled. I saw many military leaders wanted to become these stoic figures that they never did anything wrong or we never thought they did. Well, the ones that influenced me the most were the ones that were able to say, here's an area in my life where I struggled like you. Here's a moment in my career where I had doubts too. Here's a moment where I had a stumbling block, and these are the lessons that I learned. I took those lessons from those leaders when I got to my level and said, how can I give these stories to the people that are working in my organization so that they can be influenced to do great things? And I think the best leaders know that leadership is not about them. Leadership is about the people whom we serve. The greater and higher you go, the greater you serve. And the responsibility has to match that. The greater the authority, the greater the responsibility. And so you have to be able to not be thinking about, is it about me? It really is not. It's about the people whom you serve. And I've carried on now with Relentless Leadership in that same way. I'm not certainly the most 100% the leadership expert in the world, and I will never be. But I have a passion for learning. I have a passion for serving. I have a passion to go, you know what? I don't have all the answers to everything, but together we can find them. I don't know everything, and I'm going to make mistakes. But maybe through that experience, we can learn some great things and move forward.
Yeah, and I think you said it absolutely beautifully there. A passion for learning, a passion for serving. But I also absolutely believe, as you say, that leadership is not about perfection. And in fact, that just gives a false perspective on what leadership is. And I think it is about, as you say, Manny, being very grounded and very great leaders are great storytellers, but you're absolutely right. It's telling stories of the challenging or the difficult times as well as the great times. I think that's a really powerful part of great leadership. I'd also just say from a very personal perspective, with great leaders, their energy transmits. Energy attracts energy. And that's one of the things I've found with yourself, that there's just this incredible energy that draws people to you, this passion, this love of life, this love of serving others, this love of learning. And I think that's a great mark of great leaders as well, that people are drawn to their warmth, to their energy, to their passion. And I find that so much so that I decided I was going to learn Italian, but through our connection, I switched at the last minute and I've signed up to learn some Spanish. So that's influence from one side of the world to the other, just from who you are, without you ever even saying, why don't you learn Spanish? We never even had that conversation. I was just like, well, actually, why don't I think about Spanish and not Italian? So there's something about leaders that they just have this ability to influence without power. And I think that's really where you started when you talk about in the military, you could just rely upon, hierarchy and authority and power, but actually there's a much, much better way to lead people on a journey. So it's absolutely fabulous listening to that.
Yes. And Andy, first of all, thank you for the kind words. I've always been a very energetic person. Luckily, I've been able to harness that for the most part in a positive way. Sometimes I make mistakes. You tend to be this kind of calming agent. There's this very soothing person. And you know, I know you don't lack energy, but I just find that speaking with you and just how you present yourself, you really help people feel at ease, and it's very comfortable either talking with you or just sharing stories. I just want to share that with you. There was a thought that I had that you were talking about, and of course now it escaped me. But by the way, I do speak Italian too, so if you need help with that, we can. I can write it, speak it, conjugate it, and all that wonderful stuff. 5 years in Italy, but yeah, you know, going back to the I have position power, but that's only so much. And in the military, many people rely on that. And I think this is something we may want to talk about some other time. What's the legacy that we want to leave for those whom we serve? I can think of many people. I'm sorry, Andy. I think of many people whom the legacy that left for me was a very negative story. And I learned some lessons from it of what not to do. Yet those are not the first people that I think of in terms of legacy. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Andy.
Yeah. No, I think it is a beautiful subject for our next conversation, Manny. But you've actually hit on the key point that as leaders, we leave a legacy. And it isn't automatically a positive legacy. You're absolutely right. And the legacy is how we want to be remembered, ideally how we want to be celebrated. But leaders are remembered either for the great things that they do or otherwise. So everyone leaves a legacy. But unfortunately, I think too many leaders are so absorbed by the short term, so absorbed by the moment that actually, you know, they almost take short-term decisions that have a really negative impact on the legacy that they're going to leave. And I believe a great leader, again, can think about, you know, we talked about the big picture and being in the moment, but it's also about that balance between the short term and the long term. So you make the right decisions for the short term future of the team, the business, but equally for the long sustainable future. And that's where legacy is really created.
Yeah, yes. I think as we wrap it up, I think, yes, people, you know, that's your most valuable resource in any organization. And the best leaders, through many of the things that you shared and some of the things that I talked about, the best leaders recognize that it takes people to make things 100%. Happen and to really just become an outstanding organization or an outstanding team. It takes people and how we influence them in a positive way.
5%. That's the 5% zone. It's people.
Yeah, absolutely. Andy, once again, what a great talk. This has been once more amazing. I love our chats, and I know that moving forward, I know we're going to be talking about legacy, and I look forward to talking about that. Thank you so much for spending the time with me, for doing this call, this conversation. It's always a fabulous time speaking with you.
My absolute pleasure, Manny. It really does set up my day for success. I thoroughly enjoy it. I thrive on your energy, and here's to the next time.
All right. Take care.
Take care.